일반적으로 사용하는 사이클을 하나 소개를 시켜드릴 건데 아마 대부분의 그 452 배마들이 이렇게 사용을 할 거예요. 용바 폭을 누른 다음에 여기서 붕천태로 버블을 수급하고 풍신을 써요. 그리고 나서 화, 나.
So if you look at here, the majority of the cycle that everyone does is Roar of Courage, Wind's Whisper, Blast Formation, Wind's Call, Rising Fire Dragon, but you cut it in between because you want to land it before your Wind Whisper runs out, and then you use your Spiral Impact just to cut it off. His combination that he does, Wind's Whisper, Blast Formation, Roar of Courage, and Call of the Wind God, to land that skill in within 6 seconds, Sky Shattering Blow, Spiral Impact, to get that buff from Sky Showering Blow. Therefore, your Rising Fire Dragon can be full ticks. And the damage difference between those two are about the same. And the damage difference between Rising Fire Dragon at just a tap versus Rising Fire Dragon at full tick, there's a damage difference as well. So that difference can be added in a comparison. The advantageous position for the second skill cycle that Looter uses, you're not shackled into the 6-second window.
한 가지 사이클만 사용하시기보다는 적어도 두 가지 사이클은 알아두시는 게 좋은 게
When you're in a live raid situation, you don't know what your bubbles are going to be. You don't know what skills are going to be on cooldown, all that stuff. Forced into using Roar of Courage and Wind Whisper together, you're going to be having a situation which he showed you a little bit before. Let's say you have one bubble. You're not going to be activating Blast Formation on full 4 bubbles. It is important for you to adjust your cycle as the battle goes. For example, when he just showed you was he had one bubble left. Instead, he just used Sky Shattering Blow and Wind Whisper and Roar of Curse to fill up that full bubble. And then he used the Blast Formation. And then by the time he gets it back, he uses other skills back to activate the other esoteric skills accordingly to make sure that the Blast Formation skill is landed with 4 bubbles.
이 사이클을 고정적으로 사용을 안 하고 그때그때 나눠서 쓰게 되면 이 공준이 어떻게 해서든 비게 돼 있거든요.
Adding another point on is, let's say you start with one bubble, right? Chat is, you start with one bubble, you use Wind Whisper, you use Roar of Courage and Sky Shattering Blow to get that 4 bubble first, to activate Blast Formation, to land it in the max DPS. And afterwards, your Sky Shattering Blow comes back because it's a very short cooldown. And then you fill that bubble up again to activate your Wind's Call if you want, all that stuff together. And afterwards, the problem is you're missing attack power, right? You're missing attack power buff because you already used the Wind Whisper, right? He usually used on the tripod is the Ready Attack tripod for Spiral Impact, so that he uses Spiral Impact. He can actually add in Rising Fire Dragon with attack power enabled. So that's why he uses the Ready Attack one. But some people cannot stand how slow the Spiral Impact is. So they do take Swift Fingers and they take the Lucky Bubble on Rising Fire Dragon instead. So they're that kind of build as well.
이 사이클을 이거 두 개 순서만 바꿔서 돌리시는 분들이 계세요. 이 사이클대로 사용을 하면 운빨이 좀 필요하거든요. 이 행운의 버블이라는 특포가 50% 확률로 버블을 한 개를 회복시켜줘요.
If you notice here, if you have the lucky bubble, you have 50% chance to use only one bubble. Some guys flip the skill, so the Wind God is used later. The Rising Fire Dragon is used before that. So the combination would be the exact same thing. And let's say you use your Rising Fire Dragon, you happen to be lucky, get that one bubble, you can activate the Spiral Impact for that buff, and then you have Sky Shattering Blow to get that 4 bubbles back, to activate Call of the Wind God with 4 bubbles applied for maximum damage.
행벌을 사용하게 되면 여기서 공준이 빠지게 돼요. 공준 특포가 1레벨로 사용을 하면 의미가 없거든요.
You know, Wardancer doesn't have enough tripods, basically. So if you get to happen to that lucky bubble, you won't be able to have the Ready Attack. So most people put Swift Fingers on Spiral Impact. And when you do that, you're missing that Ready Attack additional damage, correct? So when you do 4-4-4 at a lucky situation of 50%, you happen to be, really in a really good spot. But if you happen to be missing that 50%, you're missing Ready Attack buff. Cycle that he made, afterwards he changed it back. As in, since esoteric skill Spiral Impact has the ready attack, you can do 4/4 on the blast formation and the wind call. And then when you do that, you're going to be using the Spiral Impact at 4 bubbles, and then you'll be using the Rising Fire Dragon at 3 bubbles. So the problem is, so you would use Rising Fire Dragon at 3 bubbles, so you're losing a lot of DPS, right? But the thing is, you have ready attack buff enabled before that. Therefore, it kind of balances out. It kind of like neutralizes itself for the loss of that one bubble. 이 사이클이 딱 정하신 거가 맞네요.
아까 말했던 그 용바 사이클이랑 이 바포 그 제가 사용하는 이 사이클이랑 두 개를 둘 다 사용을 해요.
As you see here, since in a live fight, you never know if you have only one bubble or if you have 4 bubbles yet, right? So as you shown here at the initially, he has 1 bubble left. So okay, so what I'm gonna do is he does the original combo. But after when that is done, he turns on the energy combustion, gathers a bubble when everything's coming back on cooldown. He rotates it with the other combination, which is the Wind's Whisper, Blast Formation, Roar of Courage, Sky Showering Blow, Wind's Call. You would do Sky Showering Blow again, Spiral Impact, and then the Rising Fire Dragon at the end. Even if it feels repetitive, this is that much more important to get that specific cycle properly set up, because you never know what the boss is going to do.
버블 상황에 따라서 스킬 사용하는 콤보가 다 달라지는데 이렇게 궁천태로 시작을 해서 이렇게 그냥 원래 쓰던 콤보를 써버리면 사이클이 제대로 돌아가거든요.
Right.
그러니까 이 몇 개를 가지고 있느냐에 따라서 콤보를 다르게 사용하시는 게 맞다고 생각을 하고 인식이 굉장히 안 좋아서 그 루아가 튕겼네.
뭐지? DC. The NA virus is there, boys. Let me explain this, chat. Watch. So, you kind of thinking in based of time, like a question, as in like, hey, do I have 4 bubbles? Do I don't have 4 bubbles, right? Do I have Wind's Whisper off cooldown? Do I have Blast Formation off cooldown? So the most important part is if you have Wind's Whisper and Blast Formation cooldown up, then the question is, do I have 4 bubbles ready to go? If the answer is no, you fill up the 4 bubbles first. And this is also why it's important for you to memorize how many bubbles your Sky Showering Blow and Roar of Courage fills up. So that's also another point of view that you need to memorize based on how much spec you have. You need to understand how many bubbles you fill up for those 2 skills. Then you can calculate it accordingly. So the thought process would be, okay, then I have only one bubble. What should I do? Then you would use 2 skills. You would do Roar Courage and Sky Showering Blow to get that 4 bubbles to utilize that blast formation. And when you're done with blast formation, since you have 2 bubbles, Sky Showering Blow, and while having the energy combustion up, you're gonna have 4 bubbles again. So you would use the next skill, the Wind's Call, and then by the time the Wind's Call is done, you use Sky Showering Blow again, and then you would activate something like that Spiral Kick, Spiral Impact to get that additional attack buff one more time, and then you use Rising Fire Dragon to get that full synergy up as well. Therefore, this particular cycling is different per battle, so there's a lot of thought process into it, a lot of memorization, and a lot of improvised combination of skill combos that you need to do. And this is hence also why that this particular build is not too popular among all Wardancers, because it's the same Wardancer. If you have a Wardancer in a party, you kind of feel like, oh, crit synergy, great. But the thing is, this particular build doesn't have that much of an uptime on the crit synergy because everything is focused towards DPS. So this is the stuff that he was talking about before he got DC'd.
그리고 이 캐릭 같은 경우는 제가 카드가 본체라고 말씀드렸잖아요. 보석 레벨이 낮게 되면 아무런 의미가 없는 캐릭터가 발생을 하게 되거든요. 그래서
When you're doing the Lazaniev build as well, most important one you need is the level 10 gem and a level 8 gem and an 8 gem. And the reason why is because the Lazaniev's internal cooldown is 32 seconds. And if you just have a level 7 gem for Wind's Whisper, it goes to 18 seconds. Therefore, 18 seconds times 2 would be 36. Therefore, you will need to wait 4 seconds in an empty time frame to not pop your Lazanius at all. So if you have level 10 gem, your Wind's Whisper turns into 16.2 to 16.6. Therefore, it matches with the Laziness's internal cooldown, so you don't have to worry about it as much.
이 캐릭터를 추천을 드리는 사람들을 정리를 하면 카드가 있어야 하며 10레벨, 8레벨, 8레벨 보석을 맞출 수 있고 시너지 도둑 소리를 들어도 아무런 타격이 없으신 분들.
So, conclusion chat for this particular build. This set has a high requirement, as in you need the three Umar sets completely. You need a level 10, 8 gem at minimum. You would have to have a thick skin of people saying you're a synergy thief, like El Goblinos. If you're okay with that, and if you want to beat every single other class with the same build with a Wardancer, this build is recommended for you. 그러니까 at a DPS check.
제 보석 상태로 할까요?
네네. 그렇게 하셔도 될 것 같아요. What he has is he has the level 10 gem on the blast formation, and then level 9 gem on the rest, and then he's 1610. So he's going to show you the rotation now, which you guys are interested in. The 2-minute rotation. Wait, holy. Oh, as he also said, there's an empty time frame, chat. This build. And all Wardancer build has an empty time frame. It even uses Awakening. Wow, this is so strong, dude. This is not like a crazy Esther level or anything. This is... Well, the boss standing still part is a little bit... We explained it for like an hour. I think almost 40 minutes because it's super important to address the point that like if the boss standing still or not. That's why he adjusts skills accordingly. But if the boss is like stag or something, right? You know a combination that you can add in. So you see this DPS at 20 million right here, right? As long as you can have something like 70%, 60% uptime, then... Oh, he died before even the 2-minute mark. Wow. Damn, he doesn't even have level 10 gems.
이 무기가 19강에 신멸이 하나밖에 없는데
He's only plus 19 weapon. So if the boss tends to stand still more, this class does like potentially does the highest damage. Wow. So you would need to play really, really well.
하나가 더 있어요. 이게 데미지만 센 게 아니고 한 사이클 딜량이 엄청 세거든요.
Some people do say, oh, if the boss stands still. But the thing is, his cycle that he just did is actually not that long. As in, like, let's say something is stunned. It's like 3 to 4 seconds. Do the full cycle, he has 342 million on the Scarecrow. He's comparing that with his 1600 Striker. Is if he does 2 cycles with the 6 Esoteric, it's the equivalent of just 1 cycle that the Wardancer does. So that's another advantage. It's a lot of the DPS is condensed because of the adjustment of the cycles that he does, and with the Lazany applied too. 아드 타임에는 다 들어가네요.
네, 맞아요. 이게 아드나 버프 타임이 들어간다는 그 실전에서 들어오면 차이는 더 벌어지게 돼요. 다른 직업들이랑.
So the standpoint of view is if the boss lets him, because there are some standpoints where the boss stands still for 9 seconds. For example, like when you do a specific combination of like a con and stuff. Not on the other things, but if you happen to have a situation where you can land all your skills in, it's in 9 seconds, which is the perfect Adrofin time. And then if Adrofin is okay, the synergies and the buff time is also fine because it's longer.
요즘 세다고 소문난 그 슬레이어도 족쇄를 주렁주렁 달고 있는데 걔는 딜을 넣을 때 30초간 백을 잡아야 되잖아요.
Compared to Slayer trying to be stay in the back for such a long time, 6 seconds should be not as bad as you think. I think the overall image of this particular class saying like it's hard, etc., or whatever, is because maybe they just haven't, like simply just haven't tried too much on it yet. because or adjust the cycle enough to fit to your liking, because we showed you guys that there are so many different tripods that you can adjust to fit to your liking, and you just need to have a certain amount of requirements to make it all happen too.
그 채팅창에 특화 얘기가 나와서
Spec. Okay.
이게 특화가 그 원래는 1793이 필요한 이유가 1793이 최소 컷이라고 불려요. 근데 이게 필요한 이유는 그 제가 그 가장 기본적으로 많이 쓰는 사이클이 이거라고 했잖아요. 그 용바에 묶이는 이 사이클을 하려면 1793이어야 돼. 왜냐면 이 용바 폭을 한 다음에
네.
중천태를 사용해서 4버블이 되려면 1793이 최소 컷이에요. 제가 사용하는 사이클은 특화가 이 1700 정도만 1720으로도 아마 돌아갈 거예요.
Oh, it does.
똑같이 들어가죠.
Oh.
그래서
So his
특화가
cycle can be
낮다면
1720. Wow. 1720 is definitely doable.
아마 1700으로도 돌아갈 건데 이게 제가 최소 컷을 재보진 않았거든요.
Oh, he has never calculated the minimum.
이 특화가 낮아도 돌아가는 세팅이라
The original combo that most Wardancers do as a force spender, and you need 1793 spec in order to get that 4 bubble with just one sky shattering blow. But the adjusted sky cycle that he knows that Looter has shared with you guys, it can even rotate at 1700, which we just saw because he rotates separately between them, and you're adding in sky shattering blow more. And if you rotate separately, you're not going all in. You're kind of going like 50% in, and then you can move around a little bit, and then you're going the rest at 15% in, 50% in as well. Yeah. So I think those kind of requirements are the stuff that you guys need to know to actually try this build out, and then like utilize this build. But again, it's a very tough one. It has a lot of shackles. It's very slow. But in terms of damage, it can be very high. Has like number 1 or number 2, or like a very top damage.